Do you ever feel like nag-plateau ka, you're not seeing results, hindi mo na alam ang gagawin mo? Well, this video is for you. We're gonna talk about the 10 things that I highly recommend, especially that I've been in the industry for almost 2 decades now. The 10 most common, most easily forgettable, mas nakakalimutan, kumbaga, sheesh, nawawala yung English ko. Most neglected things that I've noticed in Canada or here in the Philippines where I have my career. Okay, both. So I spent 10 years in Canada, but as a personal trainer, um, and now, wow, almost 10 years here in the Philippines as well. Ayun, so let me introduce myself first before we get started, just to see if I am qualified for you guys. So I've been a personal trainer since 2007. I grew up here in the Philippines, pero nag-migrate ako sa Canada noong 2005. Graduate on a sports management from De La Salle University. And ayun, moved back to the Philippines in 2017. And I started Holy Fit, which is a B2B business. Pero nung bumalik ako dito, before we did this B2B business, which is employee engagement, yun nga pala, to help reduce stress and increase productivity in the workplace through our wellness services like physical fitness, mental fitness, team building, sports fest, mga ganun. So yun, before I started Holy Fit, I was just a personal trainer here. Tapos yung mga clients ko were either C-suite or business owners. Tapos sabi na, oh, this is really great. I feel great. I have more self-confidence. Ganito, ganon, more energy. I sleep better at night. You should do this for my company or my employees. Ganito, ganon. So, ayun. That's what we started to do. We did it for their clients. So, kaya naging siyang B2B. So, today, I'm going to share with you 10 of these most common mistakes that I see people do at the gym that's wrong, or even at home. Kasi, abs are built in the kitchen. Ika nga, right? So, the first one we have here. Oh, sorry guys, I'm new to this. I'm also an author. I wrote this in 2020, pre-pandemic. Actually, at the start of the pandemic, pre-AI. That's what I was trying to say. Okay? So definitely get it kasi paulit-ulit yung sinasabi ko sa clients ko. So I decided to write a book. And ayun. Strategies are in here. Tapos, if you like this video, guys, please like and subscribe, share this. Comment down below the next topic you'd like to see. Kasi nakakatulong talaga to sa algorithm, right? When I get more views, more likes, more engagement, the quality will get better, I promise. And for you, the algorithm will push more content like these for you. So if you need to subscribe now and definitely like it because that will help push out more content if you're just scrolling, okay, on social media, on YouTube, or wherever you're watching or listening to this. Woo! Okay. Medyo nasira yung content ko. The first one that we have is tape measurement. If you could read that here, it says tape measurement. So if you or your trainer, if you are a trainer, doesn't pull out a tape measure, then they're missing the inch loss victories that the scale completely ignores. So that's number one. I think it should be none. Ayun. Where is my tape measure? Here we have it. Okay, so you would measure your neck if you want to get bigger, right, or smaller. You'd measure arms, your chest, your waist, different areas. So you typical would be neck, chest, arms, waist, hips, thighs, calves. Okay, so those are most common things to measure. And if you're trying to lose weight, you should see the inches drop every single week or month, quarter, year. Okay, ganun lang kasimple. If you're trying to gain muscle and girth in certain areas, then it's the opposite, right? You should see inches grow. So yun, hindi lang siya para sa tailor. Guys, especially if you're hiring a coach, please, you should be paying them and they should be doing this. So on a monthly basis, guys, at the very least, on a monthly basis. Yes, hindi naman kailangan every day because you're not supposed to see changes, within the day. But on a monthly basis, okay na yan. Okay? Because, yun nga, what did I say here? What did I write down sa post-it sa likod? How would you know how many inches you've lost if you've never started? Lalo na sa initial assessment, guys. So this will keep you motivated. I'll come back to that every so often. It will motivate you because after a month, you see how many inches you've dropped, especially in the hardest areas. For the guys, it would be the stomach. Para sa mga babae, it would be around your hips or thighs. And if you start seeing inches na nagda-drop dun, mai-inspire ka. But if you've never measured your inches, you won't know how many inches I've lost. How far have I gone? Yung mga tanong sa sarili mo. But if you have these numbers, nakaka-inspire talaga siya. And I've had clients, ayaw nila. Oh, no, I don't want to know, right? Parang yung bank statement nila, ayaw nilang tingnan, or yung credit card statement nila, ayaw nilang tingnan. They think that it would be less stressful. Not stepping on the scale, not checking your inches, whatever it may be. Pero, how can you make changes if you don't know where you're starting from or how far you've gone? So yes, it's stressful, but it will push you, okay? So please do it. If you hire a coach, siya na lang gagawa, okay? You don't have to look at the numbers. And if your coach says, di naman kailangan yan, please get rid of that coach and hire a better coach. Kasi, yeah, he might be a good guy. Yeah, she might be cool and fun to work out with. Better you're hiring a friend, someone to chat with. Kachika mo lang. You're not hiring a true science-based professional coach. Please. And guess where you can get high-quality coaches? From HolyFit. Plug. All right, number 2 is, focus, and I dropped it. Cardio test, okay? A cardio test. Gotta get used to the system. Sorry, guys. It's one of my... Actually, it's the first podcast ever. So that's why we're doing this topic on fitness. And it's my first podcast because this is the thing that I do with my clients. Kailangan ito pag nag-start ka, okay? If you're not doing it, the start of the initial consult, red flag na dapat yan. Okay? At the start of your first session, red flag na dapat yan. Okay, so cardio test. Heart and lungs, cardiovascular. Bakit importante ito? Great question. So if you or your coach doesn't do a baseline, or doesn't baseline your cardio, then they're just making you, quote unquote, tired instead of actually making you fit. So, pinapagod ka lang, papawis lang. I hate that word, papawis lang tayo. But tayo nagpapapawis, right? We're trying to lose weight. We're trying to get fitter. We're trying to drop body fat. In fact, sweating doesn't mean you're burning fat. It just means that you're overheating. Kaya, pinapawisan ka, you're getting sweat beads, and pag may electric fan ka, it blows on your skin, and it cools you down. Okay? So, pawis doesn't mean fat burn. It just means you're overheating, and that's how it tries to cool you down. Okay? So, cardiovascular test, heart and lung test, to see your VO2 max, right? To see your, ano ba yung mga trending words ngayon? Variable heart rate, right? Certain things like that. It tests you how far you can go. Okay? So, ano yung mga cardio test na pwede mo gawin? Could be a run. Right, how far you can run in 5 or 10 minutes. It could be, how long it takes you to stay in zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, mga ganun, zones of your cardio. It could be, I said, how far you can run. So pwede rin, how fast you can run, in 10 minutes. How far it takes you to run 10 minutes. So, gaano ka kabilis, right? So, how far or how fast, right? Distance or time. It could be running, it could be swimming, it could be biking, any sort of cardio test. Okay na yun. Okay, guys, if you're not doing that, oh my God, you're missing out. You're just starting to work out, bahala na, I'll just do this, bicep curls there, 5K run here, stair climber there, right? Bahala na si Batman. That's really bad system, okay? If you don't have a plan, don't expect results, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yun, that's what I was trying to say. So, you can't improve what you don't measure. Please, guys, measure those 2 things so far. Okay, next is number 3, strength test. Just, if you're watching this right now, this thing here I'm just showing you is just more of a visual cue. Lalo na pag we're trying to move up the, timeline sa YouTube. How far you're in the video. So, just a visual cue if you're fast forwarding and whatnot. If you're listening to this, I'm showing a post-it that I wrote down, which is number 3, a strength test. So, if you or your trainer don't or doesn't track your weights, then your progress is just a feeling rather than a factual climb. I think that's what I wrote on climb, but it looks like C-U-M-B. Sorry. That's not even a word. Okay. So if you don't track your weights, then your progress is just a feeling, quote unquote, just a feeling, rather than a factual climb. So, ano ibig sabihin yan? How do you do a strength test? Great question. So that could be a 1 rep max, right? But if you're a beginner, syempre, we won't do 1 rep max kasi you might do it with bad form and you can injure yourself. So a few other things that we can do is maybe 70%, right? And then we can just calculate what your RM 1 rep max would be. So that's one way of doing it. But we can also just say, you did this many reps with this weight. That's your strength test. Could also be endurance, muscular strength or muscular endurance, right? How long you can hold a plank, how long you can hold an air squat, how long you can hold a Superman for your lower back test, mga ganun. It's still part of your core. So yun, no, there's a lot, but we don't have to talk about that just yet. The strength test mismo, we're just talking about the 10 things that you can do. So this is number 3. So yun, if you're trying to gain muscle, if you're trying to burn fat, the strength test is very important. And the more tests you do, the better. Every single month ulit ito. Okay, guys? And the more different tests like cardio test, strength test. So all these, what was the first one? Tape measure, right? Testing if you're gaining or dropping inches. Importante yan. And when you combine all of that, it's amazing. You see more data. Another thing is the more you do these tests, not every day, but every week, every month, depending what test you're doing, because it won't make a big difference if you do weekly, especially daily. But yeah, the more you do it, the more frequently you do it, the better, because you start to see results. You start to see, a pattern, okay? So yun, importante yan. Doesn't matter if you're trying to gain weight, gain muscle, or burn excess fat, a strength test is very, very, very important. Number 4, flexibility test. Okay, this should be in the first test. So why is it important to do flexibility test? If you don't test your range of motion, then you're likely building strength on top of a quote-unquote stiff and injury-prone foundation. So, ba't ko sinabi to na dapat una yung flexibility test? Kasi there's this hierarchy fitness. So first, you should be flexible enough to move your joints in a healthy range of motion, like my elbow joint right here, right? Or more accurate would be a shoulder joint. Some people are very limited, right? So shoulders nila, okay? Or, back or spine extension, ganun. So once you're flexible enough to move your joints in a healthy, reasonable range of motion, then you can move up to mobility. Once you're mobile enough to move your joints in a healthy range of motion, right, not restricted, then you can move up to strength and then power. That's how we create a program design. Una, flexibility, tapos mobility, then strength, and then power. Usually, may iba, lalo na pag retired, they go straight to power. Or it's just like a golf swing. Right? It's a power swing. Boom! As fast, as hard as you can. And that could lead to injuries. So dapat, before you do, those swings, you should be healthy enough to move it through a healthy range of motion. And that's when you can swing harder. Diba? So yun. So number 5, flexibility test. So, there's so many ways of doing flexibility test. Most important would be the spine, right? The hip joint, the shoulder joint, neck, obviously, the knees, healthy range of motion, hips, and ankles to perform a squat. But yeah, if tight yung ankles mo because of your tight muscles, then there are workarounds like a slant. But anyway, it's beyond this talk right now. Basta, you should have a flexibility test. Red flag na yan, guys, if you're coach, if you are a coach, and 50% na sinabi ko, which we already done 4, If 2 out of the 4 hindi niya ginagawa, get rid of that coach right away or send them this video and tell them to do it. If they're qualified coaches, they would know how to do it. They probably know how to do it. Tamad lang siguro sila. All right? Even if you have to pay them to do these tests, kesa to run you through a workout, pay them, guys. All right? Sabihin na, sayang lang kasi. Hindi, gawin mo. Okay? How can you improve what you don't measure? Okay? All right, number 5 is a mobility test. Okay? If your trainer does not screen your joint mechanics, then they're asking your body to perform movements it isn't actually ready for. Okay? If your trainer does not screen your joint mechanics, then they're asking your body to perform movements it isn't actually ready for. Okay, so again, there's a lot of ways to do mobility tests. I've done a few throughout my career. Medyo nakakalimutan ko na, to be honest. But yeah, it makes total sense. Kasi why would you try to lift weights or do cardio? You know, run as fast as you can, as far as you can, uphill and an incline, ganito, ganun. Pero you're not mobile enough to move. You're going to lead to injuries, right? Ganun lang kasimple. Okay? That could lead to soft tissue issues, right? Joints, ganun. Muscles, tendons, ligaments. Number 6, and I'm very passionate about this. That's why I have a standing desk right behind me. I'm trying to press something. Yun. If you can see that, watching this video. Kasi when your posture will change because of the way you work or certain sports. That's why swimmers, rowers, they have better posture than boxers. So they use certain muscles that will alter their posture. So yun, posture. Number 6. Number 6. There you have it. Even if you can't see it, read it. If your trainer doesn't look at your alignment, then they're ignoring the structural red flags that lead to chronic pain. So yun, this still has to do something with, obviously, flexibility and mobility tests. We use an iPad to figure out what the plumb line is or your gravity line. And then using AI nowadays, which is really good, it tells us what, certain angles of your head or your spine or your lower back, mga ganun. And based on that, if it's done right, the assessment, it tells you what muscles need to be strengthened and what muscles need to be stretched. Yun lang kasimple. Kasi, I am contracting my biceps right here, if you can see me. So in other words, contracting means shortening my biceps. Passively, I am stretching my triceps. Okay? So, if I have, like my posture, but I don't really care about this part here kasi mas importante yung spine, shoulders, and hips. Anyway, if this is how you hold your arms when you're standing like that, it shows that your biceps are naturally tighter and your triceps need to be strengthened more. So it pulls it back, and then your biceps need to be stretched so it relaxes more. Ganun din for the rest of your body. Ganun lang kasimple. And if you don't correct your posture, that will definitely lead to injuries, or at least limited range of motion. So your lifting will be limited, your calories that you burn, your macros will be limited as well. Sayang lang, diba? So, definitely importante ang postural assessment. That's, to me, one of the non-negotiables here. Okay, next, number 7 is body fat caliper. Ooh, I have one. I should have prepared it. So give me 1 second while I take a quick sip of water. Okay, so it's not here. I must have put it somewhere else when we shot another video. So I bought the cheap body fat caliper, but let me explain to you why first. If your trainer does not use calipers, then they are just guessing whether that weight loss is actually fat or hard-earned muscles. Ayun. Very important ang fat. Body fat caliper, and mura lang siya. You can buy higher quality ones. I would recommend that if you're very serious and you have the budget. But basically, a body fat caliper is it just measures the thickness in certain areas of your body. So, kunwari, dito sa my chest, dito sa my hip bone, or else dito sa my arm. There's different ways of doing it. There's a 3 point or 5 point measurement, and I believe if you do generally, if you do more points, then it becomes more accurate. But it only measures your subcutaneous fat. So in other words, fat on top of your muscles. If you eat meat, you know what that is, like crispy pata or lechon, right? It's the skin, and then underneath the skin, there's a layer of fat, and underneath that layer of fat, there is the muscle or you meat, right? So yeah, it measures the body fat. Whew. Sorry for that visual for all the vegans out there or vegetarians. Sorry, quick mental breather. So yun guys, highly recommend it. It's super affordable, and this is another non-negotiable for me. Actually, everything before that is non-negotiable. Tape measure for sure. That was number one. Cardio test for sure. Everything's negotiable. Ayun. So body fat caliper, simple lang yan. And yes, you shouldn't just be using a weighing scale because there's body recomposition. So you gain muscle and then you can burn fat at the same time, but your body weight stays the same. Kasi you burn like 1 kilo of fat, pero na gain ka ng 1 kilo of muscle in the process. Ganun pa rin yung body weight mo. Yun yung body recomposition, right? So that's why a weighing scale is not enough. And the body fat caliper will definitely help with that. But like I said earlier, it only does your subcutaneous fat. So in other words, the fat that you can pinch, right, which I mentioned earlier, but it doesn't measure your visceral fat. So the fat on your viscera, right, or on your vital organs, which is done by number 8. Number 8, non-negotiable ways to track your results is bioelectrical impedance. So I use there's certain brands. If you go to Anytime Fitness here in the Philippines, they use, I believe, it's called InBody. I've also used Omron. But what I use right now a lot of is Tanita, a scale. So it's one of the gold standards. So yeah, if you don't monitor your body comp, then you're flying blind on how your nutrition is impacting your cells. So yun, basically an electric current goes through your body. You step on that scale barefoot. Sometimes may handles din siya. You put it there, and then based on the electrical current that goes around your body, it measures how much body fat, muscle mass. So certain organs, certain things, body water, bone density, visceral fat, ayun, which I mentioned. It's a calculation, okay? And that's how you can measure body fat in a different way. It also is not super accurate because it also depends on, I think, your hydration levels. In fact, I've done an assessment. And then I did another one a few minutes later, and nag-iba yung body fat percentage. So you really have to be very mindful when you do it. It should be ideally the same time of the week. First thing in the morning, after you use the bathroom, empty stomach, mga ganun. Okay? So, ayun. We don't have to go deep into that, but if that's something you want to talk about, guys, comment down below, like, subscribe, email me with questions. That can be our future podcast content, okay? So yun. Next, we move into is number 9, and this is one thing I have not done yet. To be honest, I want to be transparent kasi medyo mahal to. It's called the DEXA Scan. And I was okay with my body, so I didn't really need to do it. Because I had a good estimate with the body fat caliper and the bioelectrical impedance analysis, which was number 8, was okay enough for me. I had a 6-pack. I wasn't super ripped. I wasn't super big, muscular, like a freak, but I was happy enough that I did not need to use a DEXA scan. But if you are very very particular about this, you love numbers, then yeah, definitely recommend this. Although I have not experienced it, but it's the most expensive thing at the same time because it's very expensive. It's the most accurate I've heard. So ito, if you don't do the gold standard scan, then you're settling for quote unquote estimates instead of the undisputed truth about your physique. So yun, ano yung DEXA scan? You just lay down and it does a measurement. I believe it's 100, 200, 300, a few $100. I don't know kung magkano dito sa Pinas. I can definitely research that. And kung saan pwede gawin. Okay. And number 10, the last one here is the progress photos. Ayun, just like number 1, I think, it was just tape measure, sinabi ko. Some clients will say, ayoko malaman yung weight ko, ayoko malaman yung tape measurement, ayoko malaman yung body fat percentage ko. One of the things that my clients don't like doing is progress photos. And like I said earlier, if you hire a coach and you don't want to do it, or if you don't want to see yourself, just do it anyway. All right, or ask someone to take a picture of you. You don't have to look at it, but do it every single month. I promise you, this is one of the biggest regrets when I first started out as a personal trainer na I listened to my clients. And yun din yung regret nila, that I listened to them. Dapat talaga I taken photos, progress photos, non-negotiable day one. Kasi they'd say, wow, I'm seeing all these results. I look great. Do you have a photo of me before you started? Like, just with a shirt, without a shirt, regular shorts lang. But, you really see the difference in the body fat before and after. For males, for females, the more skin, the better. So, sports bra, shorts, even if they're not fit yet. Because it will be more dramatic. Okay? So, highly, highly recommend it, guys. Please take your progress photos. So, if you don't insist on photos, then you're ignoring the most undeniable visual proof of your transformation. So again, kung ayaw mo, pilitin mo, okay? You don't have to look at it, but you have to do this every single month, okay? Because you will start to see changes. Lalo na if you look at photos, it's like a stop motion video, or like back in the olden days, it's a bunch of different photos, diba? And then the faster you move the photos, the faster you see movement. Hence, motion pictures. It's a bunch of pictures that moves through motion. So ganun din. When you look at the photos every single month, every time you swipe, this is January, February, March, April, May, you'll start to see significant results. The more you do it and the longer it goes on. All right? So highly, highly recommend it. Guys, if you hire a coach and they're not doing majority of these things, then you're just hiring a companion. Someone to talk to, someone that's fun. Yes, they could be a good person. That's a different story. But are they a good coach? Hell no. Challenge me. Send them this video. Okay, and if they're good enough, if they listen, if they don't have an ego, then they will agree. And they'll decide to make changes. So yun guys, if you want, we can definitely coach you at Holy Fit. Yes, this is a sales pitch, but it's because I believe in what we do. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades, and dito sa Pinas, ang kukonti lang na marunong talaga. So, book a consult if you want. Let me know if you have any other questions. We do offer a money-back guarantee kasi ganun lang kasimple. If you don't have any health concerns, simple lang dapat ng results. Right? Calories in versus calories out. You need to burn a certain amount of calories. You need to know your macros. You need to have a program design, which is progressive overload. You need to learn when you should be resting, get enough sleep. Ganun lang kasimple, guys. Right? So talk to me, talk to the team. We offer a money-back guarantee. If you follow the system, we promise you will see results or your money back. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Again, please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you'd like to see in the next video. When you do these things, it will help your algorithm. You'll see more videos of or videos like these. And, the more you put yourself out there, the more you watch these kind of videos, even if you don't apply it just yet, you'll gravitate towards these kind of things. You'll put it in your subconscious, and eventually you will take action. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening if you're listening to the podcast. I'll see you at the next one.